Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Carrie Siggins, CEO of Stone Age. It's an ESOP company based in Durango, Colorado, and I'm also on Governor Polis's Commission for Employee Ownership. And today I have Matt Tyberski with me. He's the CEO and president of Baseline, also an ESOP company, and we're going to talk to him today about why he formed an ESOP. So, Matt, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Carrie. Great to be here.
Awesome. All right, let's jump into it. So what inspired you to consider employee ownership?
Our founder, John McLean, always had or started Baseline with the premise that employees should be rewarded for their efforts. It took us about 15 years or so to actually put that in place until we found the right resources, the right administrator to steer us into a employee stock ownership plan that was efficient and cost effective. As John and the original shareholders have gotten closer and closer to retirement, it's given us a mechanism for transfer of ownership, and having that mechanism for transfer of ownership is beneficial because it's taken away the uncertainty around succession planning, and it's really helped our leadership team in that regard.
And do your employees understand it? I mean, how have you helped your employees wrap their minds around what it's like to be part of an employee-owned company?
We talk about it at every one of our official quarterly sessions that we do. We go over company financial performance, company operational performance, and being a CPA, I probably go a little bit too far into the nuts and bolts of how things are with an S Corp, that's an ESOP, and tax benefits and those sorts of things. But we try to share as much information as possible with the team.
Yeah, that's great. And so why did you pick an ESOP for the method of moving towards employee ownership?
We chose the IRS qualified employee stock ownership plan because of some of the benefits that I just mentioned around tax structure and advantages and things like that. But we wanted to make sure that it was as streamlined as possible. So in our instance, we chose 1,000 hours of service in a given year as the hurdle for participation. So as long as you're around at least half of the year, you're automatically a participant. We also like the fact that that method is fully funded by the company. So our employee contributions, the distributions from the S corporation, and then stock appreciation are the ways that the plan grows, and we really like that combination of things for our folks.
Yep. So are you not 100% ESOP owned, or are you?
No, we're 30% right now. We didn't have to, nor did we want to take on debt in order to fund the first tranche of shares into the plan. So we did that with existing cash that the company had on hand. And up until now, we've kind of shied away from incurring debt to get to the rest of the way to 100%. Our plan is to be right around 45% in 3 to 5 years.
Yep. Great. And are there other things that you do besides financial education and financial transparency to promote the ESOP within your employees?
We do. One of our value pillars is act with integrity, respect, and a sense of ownership. And what we try to explain to our folks is that it's the little things day in and day out. It's the habit and behavior type things that really make a difference at the end of the day. And whether that's saving $10 on something that's needs to be overnight rather than second day, or it's choosing the right level of person for our project. So rather than going with the more senior person, let's use somebody that's on the junior side to make sure that our projects are hitting both schedule, budget, and coming out on the positive side. So we try to emphasize that it's really a day in and day out emphasis for us, and the great thing about being a professional services company is that we can get that message across in individual projects that we're doing for our clients.
Yeah, that's great. Good. Thanks for sharing. And after everything you've gone through to make the transition into an ESOP, why would you tell somebody else that they should consider employee ownership for their business?
As a leader for the firm, the selfish reasons are some of the ones that I mentioned: the tax advantages, the efficient ownership transition, the alignment of purpose is also very important, and we talk about that all the time. Some of the greater good reasons, though, is to share the benefits of ownership with the people that are helping the business achieve its goals. And that's really satisfying for us. And as I said, even in the opening, that John really wanted that for his firm. And one of the reasons why he set up Baseline in the first place was to have a set of employee owners that are driving the business forward. The other thing is that wealth is gained through share appreciation and the return of capital, and the employee ownership structure allows us to do that and have the employees benefit from that. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. All right. And finally, what has been one of the most surprising or biggest benefits that you've seen from employee ownership?
The interest level from our employees, I think, is probably the biggest benefit. We had an engaged group even before the ESOP, but I think over the last 7 or 8 years that we've had the ESOP in place, the team has just gotten more and more engaged with questions on those quarterly calls that I mentioned. When I get up and do a presentation for our annual in-person get-together, or even a little message that I'll do at the Christmas party, there's always questions and interactions, and I appreciate that from the group, that they're engaged with, even if it's general things like where the business going and why are we doing this or that from a strategic perspective. So it's that interest level and getting people to, we talk a lot about raising your hand. We want people to raise your hand, ask a question, get some context for what our business is doing, both long-term as well as in that day out areas as well.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. And can you just describe maybe a little bit about what Baseline does? We know you're a professional services company, but for people who might not know what you do exactly, can you share a little bit about the company?
Absolutely. Thank you. We are a civil engineering, land planning, and land survey company. Within those three groups, we also have tucked under there water, wastewater, as well as landscape architecture. And we have a small bit of public information management work that we do for CDOT as well. So we have a diverse team. We have 4 offices: Loveland, Steamboat, Golden is our headquarters, and Colorado Springs. So we have the Front Range pretty well covered, and then Steamboat covers the mountain region for us. We have added one remote person in the Vail Valley, which was a nice surprise of earlier this year that we found a resource there. So it gives me an excuse to go to the Vail Valley every now and then. And we've experienced some other remote work where we've had people that have had life changing events where our employee has had to move away for a spouse's job situation or things like that, and we've been able to keep them on our roster as well. So that's a nice good news story for us lately. But we have about 70 people right now, and we've grown quite a bit over, interestingly enough, over the course of the pandemic, have added 20-25 people. So it's been kind of an up and down ride over the course of the pandemic.
Well, you and everybody else.
Exactly. For sure.
Well, wonderful, wonderful. Well, Matt, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your journey, giving us insight on your thoughts on employee ownership. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.